They need an audio on that. They need an audio on that.
Yeah, we need a countdown.
Yeah,
so the countdown already happened.
3, 2, 1, go!
3, 2, 1.
How about like a cat, like meow, meow, meow?
Meow, meow, meow. We are live. Welcome to
Whoa, what happened?
Welcome to the random tavern chat live thing. We need a real name for this, but since it's been so
random tavern chat live is fine.
There we go.
We ain't fancy.
We ain't the fancy schmancy pants.
No, we're not fancy. We ain't fancy here. So this week, this is Gary Con week. Jim has no video because he is engaged in shenanigans trying to get started with Gary Con.
I'm in an undisclosed location running errands for wily Canadians who are like, "Hey, could you pick me up some stuff?"
Oh
like,
boy,
yeah,
I know that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll duck in and out, but I wanted to be here.
So that's sweet.
Calling from a safe
By the way, you're probably not wearing your shirt, so it works out great. You don't have
to from an undisclosed windswept location.
So tell me the truth. Oh, well, okay. So the truth. So I keep hearing now that, oh my God, the weather is terrible up here. It's 7 degrees. We have 7 inches of snow. What's the truth? Tell me the truth. Give me the real.
I lived in Minnesota for 12 years, and frankly, at this point, you got to do a lot more than what Lake Geneva can produce to scare me.
I figured.
There is a really nasty cold front that's coming behind. Like, it's supposed to hit 70 today. It's supposed to hit 70 or 72 where I am today, and then it's supposed to plummet again. And that cold front is socking the upper Midwest as we speak. And I believe tomorrow it's rain and snow and slush, but it's Gary Con. If you're not planning for bad weather,
Lake Geneva in March is not Tahiti. And sorry, you folks, it's just this. I've been there before during.
Yes.
There's
Zach and I drove the last 2 hours in a snowstorm once where we couldn't see the roads.
There's your 7-day from Jim Kitchen.
There you go.
Here in sports.
That's right.
So Eric and I were talking, and I wanted to go over this real quick. This is something that we probably won't cover in Talking Crit, just because we're going to do some interview. We're going to have an interview with Bill Barsh this week in his Kickstarter. But I finally watched the Professor DM video that Eric had talked about, and this video was a really good, very good video. He has good stuff. He's got good stuff. His video was on about the fact that the pen and paper sales of the new D&D are terrible. There's no two ways about it. They're absolutely awful. But however, they don't care because this is only step one in their plan to promote online play, promote their VTT. And I know people are jumping all over. It's like, oh my God, see, look, it's terrible. WotC sucks. This is bad. I don't think they care. And Eric and I talked a little bit. And Eric's got a video on it.
Yeah, I don't think they care either. I think this is I
don't even know don't care.
Their master plan. It's their cunning plan, right? That's the
Oh
yeah. They're not. This is not this, and this is why we talked about. Why wouldn't they change the name to 5.5 or 6.0 new D&D? Because they didn't want to, because they didn't have to, because all they're doing is offering a continuation. And as Eric said, most of the rules that people talk about now, they seem like they're very, very online VTT oriented. That's the changes they made. The changes they made weren't to fix stuff that was wrong with the game. The changes they made were to make the game smoother and more streamlined if you're playing online. And so this is what they want. This is the master plan. This is why they hired so many Microsoft execs.
Correct me if. Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
No, I said correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the way they did with like Magic about 10 years ago?
Bingo. And this is and I think Professor DM pointed that out too. That's very, very astute because Professor DM pointed that out. They're moving toward an online model and all their stuff. And not only that, they're moving to a pay to play model, where here's all of the stuff you have, and you've got all these rules, and you've got these characters. By the way, if you ever stop paying your monthly fee, it's all gone.
Yep.
So it's the same as I've talked about my travails with Amazon Kindle before. If you lose your password or you change or something happens, you don't have those books. You're leasing those books. They will tell you you did not buy these books. You've leased these books. You've leased these movies.
It's all streaming.
Yeah, and the same thing with D&D. You have not bought the online game. You are leasing the online game, and you're going to be able to play it as long as you pay. The minute you stop paying, but this is what Microsoft executives are good at, aren't they? I mean, they have word. We have these things.
What's really interesting to me about that is that Blizzard figured out a long time ago that you have people that drop out of playing their games for whatever reason, but this is why you preserve their accounts so that the moment they re-up again, they have access to everything they earned previously. You don't haul it all away and dump it in the dumpster
and it's not a huge
and
money
make them start over again.
Not a huge money whip, right? Because if I want to come back to D&D after a year and I find out I have to spend another $120, I may just say, I don't think so. We'll try something else. And look, as much as we talk about stuff, this is in the long run, once again, good for the hobby because it's going to push people out and they're going to start playing Shadow Dark and they're going to start playing Hyperborea and they're going to start playing Call of Cthulhu and they're going to start playing, whatever, Cosmere, if that ever catches on. So in the long run, it's not terrible. But look, this is the master plan is flawed and weird as it may be. And everybody has a master plan. Whether or not it's a good master plan, nobody really knows. And we don't know. We don't know.
I can only tell you what part of what they're doing is they want that walled garden. So if you, like you're pointing out, if you're playing D&D on their VTT, you're paying a subscription to them. If you stop, you lose everything. But not only that, you're not getting exposed to other games. That's the important thing to their VTT. We bring you in. We don't want you checking out Cosmere and Shadow Dark and DCC or Pathfinder. We want you to believe that in this walled garden, there's only D&D, and D&D, whatever the current edition is the only D&D there is. And I think that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah, it's like Disney down in Orlando. You stay there, it's all Disney.
Well, and I mean, look at card games. I mean, everybody remembers back in the if you don't remember back in the 90s, there were tons of card games. There was a Lord of the Rings card game. There was a Star Trek card game. There was all these big properties had card games. You look around now, you have Magic, you have Pokemon, you have Yu-Gi-Oh. That's it. There's no, I mean, there may be other card games, but nobody plays and nobody cares, whatever. They have managed to kick everyone out of the walled garden and said, here it is. If you want to play a card game, here's your card games. Because there was tons. At one point, everybody was trying to break into to get the magic money, and that's who's left. And they make it. You go to tournaments, magic only, Pokemon only. This is just Yu-Gi-Oh, and you can only use these cards, and you can't do this. They actively throttle any other competition, which is and I don't know. I don't think that WotC's going to be able to do that. But that's part of their master plan is when you think online gaming, you're going to think 5e or whatever, 5e and Dungeons & Dragons. And that's what you're going to think when you think about online. When there's another pandemic, please God, no other more pandemics. But if there's another one and they want to make some huge money, they are going to hammer this and say, oh yeah, look, we're all set up. We're ready to go. Just, you got to stay home for 6 months. Boom. Sign right back up. And here we go. Ready to run some D&D games here. And Professor DM pointed out also that Stranger Things is coming out in October. That you got your pre-Christmas push there because they're going to hope that Stranger Things has a D&D angle as it's had for the last 4 seasons. They're going to hope season 5 or 6, whatever one this is, has a D&D angle, and they're going to push that. Like I said, I don't know. It's like making a trade on a football or baseball team or something. Here's your plan that works out, or here's your plan. Now, is it going to work out? Is the guy that you trade a first round draft pick going to break his leg, or is he going to have an all-star year? You don't know.
I think there's a fundamental thing that they're really missing with this, which is, yes, all the kids that I mean, anybody in the age bracket of 10 up is familiar with Discord and so on and so forth. But I really think that the push to get away from face-to-face gaming is a real mistake, right? I mean, as a species, our problem is that we're self-isolating to such a degree and siloing in such a degree that I think it's a fundamental weakness and problem we have to address, because you can't have the same experience virtually that you can face to face, sitting around with people. I mean, think about how hard, Mike, you and Eric were laughing at Gamehole Con when we were sitting around telling stories and so on and so forth. And you can do some of this via Discord, but it's just not the same. And I realize this is the Luddite in me, but I just don't agree with it.
Well, and to riff off that too, Jim, and I was thinking about this too, is conventions are huge right now. I mean, conventions are doing very well. Anybody can tell you running a convention will tell you that. And from my personal experience in North Texas, we sold out last year in April. We saw it this year in February. That's lunacy. That's insane. Look at Gary Con. Look at Gamehole Con sold all the rooms. Gary Con is full to the rafters. Gen Con is pushing numbers like you've never seen before. So if you go all VTT, which I understand that's a strategy. What are you supposed to promote at conventions? To play at conventions? I mean, are you going to push out all your pen and paper players? That there's been anecdotal evidence that more and more cons are moving away from 5e as their game of, this is the game about you walk in, all there is 5. People are just playing 5e. There is 5e, and there's been a lot of anecdotal evidence that's not true anymore. That there aren't as many 5e games being registered.
Let's talk about the other fundamental problem here, which is if you break the model of having physical product for local game stores to sell, the friendly local game store doesn't have any product to sell, and what you're just trying to do is you're trying to just hoover all of that up into a cloud-based solution, that virtual tabletop solution that you're selling, and you cut out the retailer. Why would the retailer do anything to grow your property? And
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a difficulty that, as you said earlier, the Magic we'll go virtual with Magic. Well, the last I saw, people still like to hold things. I saw something very interesting a couple of days ago where somebody was ranting about late stage capitalism. There's a lot of ranting about late stage capitalism lately. And one of the points that the person made about late stage capitalism was that people are hoarding things and essentially collectibles, right? If you read through it and you really sort of put your mind to it, you're like, okay, you're talking about collectibles. People are hoarding collectibles, and they're accumulating. Those with the wealth are accumulating all these vast amounts of material that have nothing to do with true survival and so on and so forth. And I thought, okay, like, part of me understands that what you really want is a Clockwork Orange, and I feel bad because I don't want to live in that. And B, every time somebody says late stage capitalism, I start to fall asleep because I sort of know where it's going to go, and they never let me down, right?
It's always the same. Yeah, you're always taking that path, the same destination.
But the fact of the matter is people like to collect shiny things. People want to collect shiny things, and it doesn't matter if it's Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or what have you. But people want to buy and assemble a collection and treasure things, and that's not changing. That's been the way of humanity for 50,000 years.
How often does shaming collecting work, Jim? How often does shaming a collector actually work? It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No. It doesn't work. And
I think.
And so, sorry. Go ahead, please, Glenn.
No, I was just going to add a little. I think Frank Zappa said communism will never work because people want to own shit.
Bingo. And I get that apparently we have now entered. It's either the fall of the Roman Empire or late stage capitalism, but either way, this is what I keep seeing over and over and over and over and over and over in my feed. Okay, what do you want from late stage capitalism? You know, do you want us to forego role playing and collecting things and so on and so forth and go straight to the Road Warrior? Because I don't have assless chaps and I'm a little old and over the hill to get them.
You can make them work, Jim. You can make them work.
I'm never going to be able to make the assless chaps work. It's never going to happen. It won't.
And Eric will have to make
it work.
Eric might make it work. I don't know. Well, you know, I mean, look at me. Look at music. I'm a huge music fan. I worked in a music store for years and years and years. I amassed a collection of thousands of CDs. That, by the way, there's no way to play them anymore except on my home stereo system, which still has a 5 CD set. But cars don't come with CD players anymore. Your computer doesn't come with a CD player or DVD player anymore. You know, and so I'm an idiot because I'm out there still buying CDs because I want to hear a whole album. I just don't want to hear. You know, I like Pandora. Pandora's great. You know, I like satellite radio. It's great, but that you're playing one song and you're not playing exactly the song you want. Now, YouTube helps a little bit, but if you don't own YouTube Premium, you get commercials. And it boils down to the fact that I want to listen to my music when I want to listen to it. They've almost eliminated my choices for that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my stereo when my stereo finally breaks. My 20-year-old stereo. I'm not sure where to bring it to fix it, or even if I can buy a. I looked one day for replacements. I danged if I could find one that had a CD player on it. So yeah, this is what happens when you collect stuff like this, and what's going to happen when the person who has the books wants to play and everybody's like, yeah, we're all playing online, dude. You know, well, I guess I'm going to have to start playing online. I don't want to start playing online because I don't want to own my stuff. I want to actually own my stuff. I don't want the company to own my stuff and lease it back to me.
Yeah.
Eric, you did that. What kind of feedback did you get for this? Because it looked like you had some interesting feedback.
Actually, here, let me pop away for half a second. And we had 19 comments on the video. Now, the only video that had more comments recently was the Castle Zaggig video. Because, yeah. But they keep on going farther and farther from what the hobby actually is.
Well, this feeds into the a bigger general thing about physical media dying.
Yeah. Now, go ahead, Glenn.
No, I'm just saying, I've seen so many posts because, you know, I got the movies and the Blu-rays and stuff up here. It's like that physical media is dying. And then I got other people saying, no, it's not. It's just changing. Well, you can't have it both ways. So
you don't own your, you know, I've got I got 2 machines in the house that can play a DVD on a TV. I've got an Xbox. Right. And by the way, my new Xbox S, which doesn't have a DVD player. It's just you play.
I think that's extra.
Yeah, and so I've got the old Xbox and I've got a DVD player, and that's it. I mean, once those, I have a VHS player that is in storage right now, but I'm loath to get rid of it because I still have. You know, 100 VHS movies that I don't know if I'm ever going to watch it.
And I'm just seeing D&D going the same way. You know, physical media versus having to go online to.
And remember, they can update your books without you even noting it. You know, it's a little stealth here. Now, I find this interesting because this is from Fantasy Grounds Academy. So this is another YouTube channel. They got over 5,000 subscribers. I've watched them once or twice. They do Fantasy Grounds videos. I think it's nuts that so many companies, especially WotC, used or thought the high of the COVID-19 trend to justify big moves, investments, and cashed their plans on the temporary highs of the COVID era. And, you know, COVID to them was like this. I don't even know if it's that. I think that they saw the potential of COVID and they're like, we got to keep those people online. If they're online, they are monthly subscribers. If the monthly subscribers, there are continuing income. And we don't need as many people as customers if all of our customers are paying. Remember, Cynthia Williams, she pointed out that essentially I'm gonna not perfectly quote her, but D&D players are cheap fucks and all the DMs
yes, they are.
money.
Not wrong.
And she needed to find a way to monetize everybody else. And that was right after COVID. So she saw this. She probably put this in motion. What we're seeing now is Cynthia's ideas, and
but
right
it's,
or
it was
wrong.
COVID. So it's COVID. But the whole thing was, we look at COVID as, wow, that was an opportunity, and that was a lightning hit, and it struck, and it was great. But is that a sustainable model? I think that's where you run into problems, because everybody's already said you can't look at COVID number. You have to compare pre-COVID to what's going on now. You can't compare COVID numbers to anything going on now. It's just not the same dynamic.
No.
Listen, my kid played D&D during COVID, and as soon as COVID was over, the D&D campaign crashed and burned. And
I knew a friend who never played D&D before, worked in an office, was able to work at home for, I don't know, 8 months, was not in 1, not in 2, but in 3.
Yes.
3 D&D campaigns, because they had nothing to do with their day. And within a month, and was passionate about it, and asked me questions about it, and was so interested, like, oh my gosh, D&D is so much fun. I can't believe you never told me. Yeah, I've told you before. You just didn't listen. Within a month of going back to work, they all dropped. They all disintegrated. All 3 groups were gone, because it was an occasion. It was, it was something. It was something that happened, and once it was over, everybody went back. And I think that's what a lot of people talk about when they look at their numbers. They say these numbers aren't realistic. Well, what was the number, Eric, at the end of 2022 when they were saying, "Oh, triple. We should triple our money"? Is it triple?
They wanted to hit that 1 billion.
Yeah, they wanted to hit 1 billion, and they thought that was sustainable, but they were basing that all off COVID predictions, which, I mean, I understood that showed potential, but I don't think it was sustainable potential.
No.
Look at me making up words. I'm making up words. Sustainable.
And really and truly, let's talk about how there's organic growth, right? Where you go out to conventions and you run games, and we talk about it occasionally, but Goodman Games, right? DCC did not start out as the juggernaut it's turned into. It's because people went out and played games and ran it at conventions. They leveraged having judges do games at local shows and stores and getting swag, and this is the stuff where you buy it as cheap as you can possibly buy it, but people craved it, and it did wonders. Shadow Dark, same thing. It's word of mouth, and they could advertise and artificially inflate the numbers, but eventually, as soon as they quit advertising, it goes away. But you can't base your projections on frankly, once in a decade, once in a lifetime, well, not a lifetime, but once in a generation events. COVID changed a lot of things, but COVID didn't suddenly create 500,000 permanent 5e players that are going to grow 15% every year. It just doesn't work that way. It just
and look, this is another thing to think about too. You look at the Kickstarters we got going. We have Kelsey's is at 1.5 million and growing. I read, and I don't remember if I read this on Professor DM or I heard this Professor DM if I read this, Eric, but they said that she is working very hard to get Shadow Dark in stores. So if you and look at what DCC's done, Jim's right. DCC's a juggernaut now because they've done really great community outreach. That's something they're very good at. They're very good at having groups of DCC players and having every city has its own DCC group. If a store is sitting there going, well, I've got these 3 books and WotC's, they're not selling very good. And over here I've got, Shadow Dark and DCC and what it called Cthulhu, and it's selling really good. What are you going to start scheduling? You're going to start scheduling more and more non-5e games because
you're going to schedule what makes you money,
right? Because the store sellers are going to sell with, and what you can sell, Jim, like from working in a store, you worked with Warhammer, you're not going to sell Grenadier figures in the Warhammer store because you don't care.
Oh, so I love those guys. I used to love those guys, right? So here's one of the worst offenders ever was M. Foner's Games Only Emporium in Pennsylvania, which was an absolute shithole. And that guy was like, yeah, you can sell me a rule book, but we're just going to photocopy it and use other people's miniatures.
God.
I was like, excellent. Good for you. And he's like, well, what are you going to do about it? And I said, nothing, because you're going to go out of business. you won't be able to actually keep the roof over your head. So what the hell? I don't care. Go nuts. And he's like, are you telling me it's okay if I copy the rule book? I said, no, I didn't say that. I said, I don't believe that I can stop you because I'm not driving up there. But good luck to you, because I don't think, you're not going to be the successful game store you think you are. Guess
Yeah.
who won that conversation? Out of business. Gone.
There you go.
Dustbin of history. Screw you, M-Phoners, Game Only Emporium.
Well, and here's something that I find very interesting is that up to and including the height of COVID, both Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 gave out quarterly reports of their numbers, their user base, their subscribers, the campaigns. After the numbers probably started receding, all of a sudden, no more OR reports, no more Fantasy Grounds. So we as a community can no longer have an estimate of how many people are using Roll20. They're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
Because it's not what it was at its high, and now high is what they were selling.
So let me ask you a question, Eric. Right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question that you have. The only thing that we can talk to is what we know, and I guess what I would say is, having run the Discord. How long have you had the Discord server for 10 Cars Tavern?
Oh my God. Probably.
That's okay. That's okay. But maybe I'm saying I think this is something that I'll lay the groundwork for this, and maybe we pick this up tomorrow night, or we pick it up next week after Gary Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, I would be very interested to see the chart of subscribers to the Discord server and watch how it grew during COVID, what your average was all through the time period from the time you started to now. I'm sure that during COVID, your numbers were up. Everybody else's were, right? But I would just be curious to see if you've come back down to pre-COVID levels, if you're a percentage over pre-COVID levels. I'm just, we can't guess at a lot of this. I mean, we can make educated guesses, but
right.
I would be very curious to see, like, okay, in our little world, this is what we've seen and this is what's come about.
Well, listen, I can tell you from observations and the numbers that I've looked at, the numbers went up. Discord numbers generally don't go down because you're not losing subscribers. They're not paying to be part of it.
That's right.
But the communication, there are weeks, usually convention weeks, where it becomes a very quiet community. During 2020, it was, in early 2021, it was nonstop. So now, also, you're talking in me. I'm somebody that does most of my gaming online using Roll20, but using Roll20 in a way that Roll20 decided they didn't want me to do a live stream back in the day, showing off my use of Roll20, because I am basically a non-technical user of Roll20. It's my whiteboard. It's my dice roller. I can show handouts. It substitutes for theater of the mind. It doesn't do much more than that.
Or maybe the better phrase would be is that it accessorizes theater of the mind. They want you to show all the options, and you're only using what you need.
Exactly. Now they've got dynamic lighting. I couldn't give a flying fig nothing. I don't care. Okay. And oh God, there's another service. When Professor DM's last video showed another 3D VTT. I know Rob Conley has played with it, and he's like, WotC's VTT has nothing when it comes to what's already out there in the market, able to do it and do it for multiple systems, not locked in on one. So I think that WotC, they are hoping, and they're doing, if you've noticed, they've advertised Transformers and the characters from Baldur's Gate on their VTT, things you can drop in. I think they are really heavily betting that they are going to bring the Baldur's Gate 3 players to tabletop.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you my experience from my old gaming group that has mostly gone to online gaming, not VTTs, MMOs and the sort. They want a game on demand. Oh my God, is everybody free in 30 minutes? Let's game. I don't know any DMs that DM on demand. They're going to need that virtual DM to be up and running to get those Baldur's Gate 3 players over. You're not going to get traditional gamers for the most part, but those Baldur's Gate 3 players, we can get a group together of 4 and have our virtual DM run us through something that's unique. I think that's what WotC is banking on. I really do.
Somebody mentioned if indie publishers came together and did an AI VRT, why compete with them on their ground? No. You need to fill in the vacuum they're leaving as they move out of tabletop gaming. You need to, like Jim said, you need to look at the things. What do we love about tabletop gaming? We love face-to-face interactions. I'm meeting with my group. My group meets once a month. We're meeting this Saturday. We have a whole ritual now. Jim Johnson stops and buys breakfast tacos. Dr. Joe buys pizza. I mean, we have our whole thing. We spend all day. We start at 10 a.m. We don't finish till 7 p.m. It's a ritual. We go through it all. Nobody wants to give that up. As a matter of fact, if I were one of the other publishers, I'd lean into that more. Say, look, here's what we're doing. We're doing face-to-face games. We get to talk to people and interact and have fun and use miniatures and cool Dungeon Forge stuff and draw on a map. And oh, by the way, you want to break for lunch? Everybody, let's break for lunch. So I'll get pizza. That's what you need to lean into. Don't try to compete with them. Yeah. You can't compete with them when it comes to dollars. When it comes to stuff like that.
I'll be right back. I've got to do something.
That's right, Jim. But I mean, do you agree? I mean, you can't. That's their territory. Don't cede them the territory of face-to-face gaming. Just take it over. Say, okay, yeah, we're going to do this. Shadow Dark can be played at your table, and it's easy to play, and the whole family can play. You can play this book at night after dinner, and everybody can have a great time. That's what you need to do.
Do you remember when 5e started coming out? They were saying things along the lines of, we want this version of D&D to be the family D&D that you keep in the game cupboard with Monopoly and Sorry and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it was like a family game night thing. Right. We want it to be that way, kind of a perennial. And now they're just like, they're not. I mean, they're just going back on it.
Well, as Jim said, I mean, or Eric said, you can't just say, okay, we're going to have a game in 30 minutes. Where's the DM? No. It just doesn't work.
It never worked that way. Honestly, you always
we never did. Unless you're 16 and didn't
every
have a
day
job,
was a game day.
You're playing,
but
like every day, playing D&D every day.
I mean, and that's what my old gaming group, and we're in March. That means I'm going to get together with guys in about 2 months. But this is what my old gaming group from high school and college has turned into. And by the way, they want to play the latest version of D&D. Told them it's not an option. And I told them that if you want me to run, I'll do it once a month. Give me a steady day and time. So I'm prepped. Oh no, can't do that. We want it on demand. I love them. I love them like family. But honestly, fuck you all. I mean, it doesn't work that way. But a virtual DM.
Wow. Okay, but maybe.
But they already are. They're already telling their established customer base.
And I say this in the most loving way.
That's kind of
go to hell. Yeah.
Go sit and rotate. But but there you go. Now remember, if you look at the D&D Beyond WotC user agreement, they have access to you. Anything that you upload, they can use. They're not going to put it in a product and print for sale. They're going to use it for their AI, their AI DM, their AI adventure generator. I think it's going to be 2 services, personally, and I would put good money down on it. They're going to have an AI dungeon generator or adventure generator because they have access to all your shit and DM's Guild too. They can just feed it in. You get no compensation, so don't look for it. And an AI DM, I think, is certainly coming in the works. They already have a basic game master for some of their board games. Cox was bragging about that last year. It's going to come to D&D. The question isn't will it. The question is when. And will it be soon enough to save the brand? Because if the reason that 4E Fuck the Pooch failed as greatly as it did, because that game system was built for a VTT that never released. Okay? If this VTT and the new 5.5 D&D Forever rules,
well, I mean,
if they don't mesh, then it's going to suck. And do they go through this whole thing again? I don't know.
Talked about that's they're banking a lot on something that hasn't happened yet. What happens when you're online and playing?
You're
you can't get discounted.
No.
But I mean, then you're like, oh, I can't connect, and then you're. Can anybody hear Eric? I hear you. Oh, Glenn, I can't hear you, but I can see. No, I can.
Oh, that was roll 20. That was roll 20 in the past. Oh my God!
Although I have seen a lot.
Right, but do we know that be the future?
I have seen my share of players at the table disconnected, but that's another story.
Get that phone out of your hand, you fucker. Watching is small in the video game world, and they consulted with Sweet Baby Incorporated. Video game players hate them. Well, they consulted with Sweet Baby because Sweet Baby fits their worldview. So that's not going to change. I'm surprised they're not consulting with Sweet Baby for their pen and paper products, honestly. So take that for what it's worth.
You said something really good because I'm pretty, I don't know. I rag on WotC a lot, but we all do. I understand the difference between Baldur's Gate and VTT, right? I mean, they know that's not going to, that was a, once again, that was a, we talk about how unsafe without Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate would have been a faster without Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate and
but Mike, here's the thing. It added a huge amount. I don't know if we're getting lag here, but it added a huge amount. Yeah, it added a huge amount. But imagine how much more they would have gotten if they had that developed in house. That's what they're thinking. I'm not saying their thinking is right thinking. I am saying that is what they are thinking. How much more money would that have been worth? So the next Baldur's Gate success has to be developed in-house.
Oh, yeah.
And, hey, these Baldur's Gate people, they play D&D on their computer. Well, why wouldn't they want to play a VTT that's just like Baldur's Gate? Yeah.
They got to know it's different, dumb. But they're dumb in a lot of things.
It's close enough.
Different?
Square peg.
No, that's different.
Square peg, round hole, hammer. They are going to make it fit.
Yep.
Well, you have to make it fit. Look, I'm gone past the point where I'm mad at anything WotC does, and I wish him good luck because I just see the OSR folks coming in there and taking territory that's been seceded. And seeing Shadow Dark and OSE and Call of Cthulhu and Cosmere and and even Cast of Crusades with the newest is a gig box set. They're all going to walk in. They're going to stake their territory, and WotC's willingly giving it up. They're saying, "Yeah, we don't want to do that as good anymore. We don't care," and that's fine. I mean, they're going to lose ground of their own game. I mean, without the new sprinkles.
But
so they're going to lose ground to even their own game.
But they don't care as long as they're making more money. Their success is not how many people are playing D&D. It's how much money is D&D making us. And if they could get $500 million in profit from Honor Amongst Thieves 2.0, they would find a way to do it. And now apparently Honor Amongst Thieves is a huge success on streaming. So
it did very well streaming.
There's talk about perhaps a sequel. So who knows? Do you think the OGL was a grab for AI training data? I think that the pivot to pure digital was starting, but I don't think they had fully cemented it. The OGL grab was confused because if they knew what they were doing, they could have done it. They would have done it right. Instead, they fucked it up, and they fucked it up because they didn't have a vision. They just knew they were giving away too much money. My opinion.
I would say with Top Profit, that's a good. We don't know yet. I mean, there are innovators that didn't turn out to work, and the internet was a fad. I can't find his post.
I'm trying to get. Hold on.
Incorrect. 4 Model T will never catch on. Yeah. Okay. A lot of things that didn't catch on, or that caught on for didn't pan out. I mean, it could be that they could be the next big leaders in VTT, game line, or it could fizzle out. We just don't know yet. I mean, we look at now as like, oh well, the Ford Model T was inevitable, man. Nobody at the time. I mean, well, I don't say nobody, but that. I mean, it's just something that to work. It didn't want to use horses. I mean, we still use horses. It was that they were and they has to do with the drilling for oil. We found crap loads of oil in the United States. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into. I'm reading it.
Here.
Yeah. No. So.
My point is we don't know.
We don't know, but here's the question: if this fails, what is Watchy's next pivot? I think the next pivot is licensing the brand directly.
The gambling places.
They'll sell it. They'll sell.
No, they're already doing that.
Somebody will have another idea. Yeah, somebody has another idea. I was going to make a point that you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, 10 years ago, if you told anybody that Disney is going to put out a bunch of movies that are each dollars, all these movies are going to lose $1 billion. They're going to have no hits. But you're crazy because you had the Avengers, which was the highest grossing movie of all time. You had the beginning of the live action Disney, Star Wars. They got Star Wars stuff, and now here we are 10 years later, and like, wow, nobody. The Disney stuff is just crazy. The White is going to be one of the biggest bombs of the decade.
Oh God.
The Marvel stuff is gone this money. The other one loses $1 billion. It's hard to predict the future. What's going to happen, and so much of it depends on outside sources too, or outside influences.
Yeah.
Yes, I know my audio is very choppy.
That's okay, Mike. We love
you're
you.
Bad, Mike.
We don't know. And taking a shot. They're taking a shot, right?
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting. Now, the question then becomes, where does the rest of the industry go? And if the rest of the industry tries to follow WotC, you're going to fail. And you're going to fail because WotC is doing their own walled garden. So you can't just say, I'll follow WotC.
But I'll bet you dollars to donuts somebody does try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody will. You're right, Glenn. But yeah, I think it's right. Do what you do and do it the best you can, and don't worry about what other people are doing. If let's say you're Jeff Talanian and you got Hyperborea, which does very well, and people run at conventions. Jeff doesn't need a VTT. He can do the best he can with his game by doing what he's already doing and getting it in stores and getting it in front of
Yep.
And apparently it sells very well from what Jeff says. Don't,
Lane.
I mean, you know, you're like the neighborhood bodega, right? You're doing great. Everybody comes and sees you. The person who used to go there comes. Everybody comes to the bodega. The bodega doesn't sit there, owner doesn't sit there one day and go, you know, I'd do so much better. I'm going to open 5 more and then just, you know, do something that they're not great at. Just do what you're good at and be really, really, really good at it.
As a wise wrestler once said, know your role.
Know your role and don't judge your success against the success of others.
You're right.
All right. Shadow Dark has got there again. Mike said they're at 1.5 million with their latest Kickstarter. And if your Kickstarter does 25,000, well, judge that against your own. My last one did 10. My last, and then my new one does 25. That's a huge success. Don't cry over the milk that, oh, but I could have done 1.5 like Kelsey did. Because you should be measuring yourself against yourself, not others. Mm-hmm. I measure this channel against itself. Okay? If I measured it against, I don't know, Professor DM, I'd be depressed. I'd think, I don't have those numbers. Well, you know what? My numbers are going up. I'm very pleased with the audience and the feedback and the interaction. It's doing well. That's what I judge myself against, myself.
Yeah. They're when people try and solve.
Yeah, and you should, because, you know, if you don't, and we know people that have judged themselves against other people, and they who, by the way, don't stick around. You're just buying now to look good on your site, but you're I mean, you know, I've got 15,000 people, you know, subscribers for video. That tells me everything I need to know right there. And so
zero comments.
Don't be that for something like that. We know people that do that, and I don't think it helps them.
Yeah. Do I think that D&D 2024 is part of a long con? No. They expect this to work. They're not.
I don't think they have a long game.
Yeah, I don't think.
And by the way, I've never bought the new it's a fun story now, because I said, oh, look, they got new Coke, and people, you know, now that they thought New Coke would know how these
they wouldn't
things
have tried
work.
it otherwise.
That wasn't the whole thing is that all spectacular. They like to try.
Yeah.
Purpose. I felt spectacularly on purpose. That quarterback, Eric would understand this one. I traded for the Aaron Rodgers, so he would tank the team and we get some great draft picks. I mean, you know, I'm a genius. You know, nobody.
We knew he'd get injured on the second play of the first game of the first year of his contract. We knew. We banked on that. No,
but look at the great draft pick we got, because we planned it. We planned this. It was all planned, and that's. I think New Coke's a great story, but I think it's a story. And I think, look, we succeeded great because we planned the New Coke thing. We knew we were smarter than all you. No, don't fall for that. You know, I just think. Yeah, well, when Tapper says true, if you read the story about it, people switched to Pepsi products. Dr. Pepper, the Dr. Pepper boost from
it did. That's an example of trying to solve a problem nobody asked for.
Right. Oh, definitely.
Well, wasn't there.
Glenn, I'd actually hate to have £1 million Kickstarter. I'd have to create a larger company and employ people. Stress.
Good point.
Yeah.
$1 million Kickstarter. Look, Seventh Sea was a $1 million success story until it came. What's his name? Couldn't do it. It was too big, and so he had to sell the rights to.
I believe.
Or who did he sell the rights to? I forgot.
I think it was Chaosium.
But yeah, he couldn't do it. I mean, did 20, 30 people to ship every day because he had so much.
City State
realized it's not going to happen.
No, City State's its own failure.
We don't about City State. Can we still talk about City State? Should never be mentioned. City State.
Never again.
I think Janelle's rolling in her grave over that.
I don't think she was actually associated with that Kickstarter. So yeah.
No, she wasn't, but she still had to. I remember her and Joe issuing an apology for that.
Yeah.
I just think, you were talking about a solution looking for a problem. My joke was, isn't that barrel? Oh, I didn't say it.
Barrel mace does great. No, you mean Dwemer mount? No.
I meant Dwemer mount. That's what I meant.
Yeah, because barrel mace is actually doing pretty darn good, according to Greg and the sales. But no, Dwemer mount was yes. That was, hey, I'm going to create this little thing. Oh, I didn't think I was going to make $45,000. Oh dear, I don't know what to do.
That's right. It's the deer in headlights of, oh my God, my Kickstarter went farther than I ever thought it was going to.
And I don't have the work written. Oh my God, panic time. Oh, was.
So should I not read my book? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean,
I just think rule number one of Kickstarters is if it's not written at the time they launch the campaign, don't back the campaign.
That's a good idea.
We all should, yes. And there's been too many horror stories, and that's what gets us real antsy about some things we've seen lately about stuff not being written. We're kind of, not written yet.
If we're gonna do a 10 Commandments of Kickstarters, if we're gonna do a 10 Commandments of crowdfunding, what I would say is the top 5 are all on the creator's head, right? Like you got to have it written before you launch, et cetera, but the back 5 really need to be about setting reasonable expectations for when you back. Just because you backed a project doesn't mean that you are God Emperor of Dune, Leto Atreides, and you get to be a son of a bitch in the comments and be an asshole. I find that an unforgivable trait that I see a lot. I think if you back a Kickstarter, you should go in, or if you back something with crowdfunding, no matter how well established they are, on fire and not get anything for it. And if you pause when you're getting ready, if you think like that and you pause, then you should not be putting money at BackerKit or Kickstarter or anything else. That's just, I can think of a few more like that, but I think it's a two-way street, right? You have people that genuinely put their heart and soul into a project, and just because you don't like their creative vision doesn't give you agreed to back without seeing what their creative vision was. Oh my God, I put everybody to sleep.
Good point.
No, you just threw a logic bomb. You just threw a logic bomb, and I cannot compute because it's too logical. It makes too much sense,
really
Jim.
and
Come
truly,
on.
though, I've seen too many good creators. I've seen too many good creators who absolutely, the worst thing they ever did was do a crowdfunding project simply because they got the horrible people on the internet who backed their project and turned into the people on the internet. And it just so sad, right? Because you've got decent people that like, I have a dream and I'd like to take this thing that I did as a zine, and I'd like to put it with a better binding and pay a little money to get some better artwork. And, they're going to jump through the hoops to do the right thing. And then they get, well, actually, from my basement lair, I put this through the excruciating editorial scrivening that it deserves, and this is terrible. And I'm going to go, Eric, are we wrapping up in 5 minutes, or can I go for just a couple more?
Mike has to go to the movies, but we got a good 15.
All right, so let me talk to something. Let me talk to something because I've mentioned this before on the show. I hate brand terrorists, which are self-entitled fans who decide to shit all over something because it doesn't meet their unreal expectations. And I am watching this play out in real time right now. Are any of the three of you familiar with the old series of juvenile mystery books, the Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators?
Absolutely. I have almost a complete set, Jim. Love it.
So here's
love
what
it,
you need to know. The guy who created created the series, at a certain point, he backed out. Other people wrote. Then Hitchcock dies. They have to rename them all. But his property, his intellectual property, went to his two kids, and his daughter has just kicked off a whole new series trying to update the idea. And has done 3 books that have just come out. She's going to publish. Her goal is to publish 26 total, and she's doing three every quarter, I think. And the first 3 are out. I got them. I haven't read them yet. But the actually crowd of self-anointed 3 investigator sons of bitches have been making this poor woman's life a living hell since she announced the project. And some of it is jealousy, because there's a guy who edits Sherlock Holmes collections, and my impression is that he didn't get to play in the sandbox, so he's hurt. But there's just this unending tidal wave. There's a Facebook group for 3 Investigators fans, and about half the crying man babies in this group are absolutely the worst, most toxic fans imaginable. And I feel so sorry, because here this woman wants to try to keep her dad's legacy going. It's been dead as a doornail for 20 plus years in America. It's still a gigantic hit in Germany. There are new books in Germany. There are, I shit you not, Playmobil figures of the 3 investigators that you can get in Germany. It's enormous. But here she is. She's just trying to do something which
Archway actually did a
Go ahead.
You were saying?
I was going to say, I'm sorry. I'm cutting in and out. I'm going to take off, guys. But Archway did a great series in the early 90s that made them teenagers. I thought it was really good. I liked the update. I thought it was very, very good.
Yes.
Those are hard. I think I have those.
I just watched this, and I just feel so sorry, because Robert Arthur's daughter decides that she's going to try to honor her father's legacy, and all the late 50, 60-year-old guys who think that they own the series and that she doesn't are just being the worst human beings imaginable. And I just shake my head. It's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. So anyway,
those old partners are the worst.
Wait, is that going to be us? Is that us? Is the pair hating D&D?
Well, I mean, I don't hate D&D, but I never married D&D. I never,
I hate Watson.
No. I had a few affairs.
I hate insight. I hate mismanaged incompetence. And when you have clear indicators of what the market would like and what the market would like to see, that's what you should do, right? Just have the sense to tap out and give people what they're asking for. Don't try to force a square peg. It just doesn't work. And Shadow Dark, it's not just Shadow Dark. There's 2 other $1 million plus Kickstarters for RPGs going right now. I can't think of the names because I don't have the notes in front of me, but I think it's amazing. We have $3 million, and they're not even the god awful creative or Critical Role or whatever the Stormlight one. These are 3 other independent projects that have hit over $1 million this month on Kickstarter, which just goes to show it's not that the market's not there. You just have to have enough sense to give the market what they're asking for. And that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the golden age of RPGs right now. We really, really are. We've never had it, and we'll go through a contraction period at some point. But right now, in the moment, holy shit, this is great. I love it. I'm thrilled. I'm happy people are finding all the games they want. That's great. Makes everybody happy.
Definitely.
Yes, it does. It does.
and play what you like. Like the worst part of this, if I keep hearing people talk about in stage capitalism, late stage capitalism, the thing is that I've never enjoyed an RPG at a con when somebody's told me how I should be having fun, and by the way, you're doing it wrong. We all self-segregate. We find the people we can hang out with, the people we try to avoid, and we play the games we love and it doesn't invalidate choices. But Jesus, I'm going into GaryCon and I'm going to play. I got a full slate of all sorts of gaming, and never once did I say, I wonder if this meets my excruciating that, or no, I just picked stuff that I thought might be fun. I picked stuff because I've been with I played a game with this DM or that DM and they've been great. And, I got a Harley Strode game this week. I can't wait. Harley's amazing. And it's Harley early in the con, so he'll still have a voice. It's going to be spectacular.
At least he's got one.
Yeah, no kidding. I gotta go, but I'll see you guys Wednesday night. I'll be on the show.
Sounds good.
Mike, enjoy the movie. Oh, he's already gone. Right. So
I already did.
Take care, all.
I'll see you, Tim.
All righty, bye.
What a swell guy! What a swell guy!
We had what was it? 4 little Indians. Now it's 3 little Indians.
What is this, Agatha Christie?
That's what I was thinking, sir. Agatha Christie.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what a world! What a world!
So, folks, you're gonna have Glenn and I Friday night.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. That's first and great.
I did know. At least Mike gets to go to the movies. We don't have a movie theater place around here. I have to go into the city to do that.
I
want to go see that Looney Tunes movie.
Rooney Rooms?
The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's supposed to be. It's one of the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes projects that escaped not being written off for tax purposes.
Interesting.
They made it just to not release it, like Coyote versus Acme. But they released it. This other company, Ketchup Entertainment, released it, and it's just getting raves for people who see it.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that will be on demand at some point. I'll have to keep my eyes out.
Yeah. Do you have any movie theaters around you? I didn't see any.
You know what? There used to be one within about 6 blocks. That's now a church. It's a landmark and a church. So the marquee is still up, the Elmwood, but it's the Rock Church.
Yeah.
Probably about half the ones that I used to go to have closed. We've only had one new one built in the last 20 years. And that was
got a movie theater downtown that I just performed in, but it's taken over by the theater company and it doesn't do movies anymore. So that was it.
Yeah,
these one-horse towns, they usually have one cinema, if they have it at all.
If they have it. Yeah, well, where Rach and I went to see the last movie, the only movie I've seen since COVID hit in the theaters was the D&D movie. And we saw that, that was last?
I believe that was mine too.
Yeah, so
time I was at the theater.
And actually, we had a good time, except for the fact that, I went, how much fucking money did I just spend?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not rushing back.
Well, we'll see if it's something this important. I mean, I want to support that. I like to support good stuff, like good games and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So I've thrown money at stuff that I hardly ever use, but just because I want to, support it.
All right. Death Shadow theaters that don't show movies are ones that have plays.
Yep.
Theatrical.
Tabletop says miss the dollar theater.
Oh,
$1 to get in when the beer and food was full price. That I missed too.
We only had one like that vaguely in my area, But I used to enjoy going to the matinees and then sneaking into another show. You could sneak so long as you went with food. So the idea was you either didn't buy popcorn for the first movie or you didn't eat much of it in the first movie. And then when you went to the second one, you went with food. They never checked your ticket. Food and a drink, your hands were full. They weren't going to check your ticket. And then you got to see the second movie.
There you go.
You had a time.
I've never done that. I'm too honest.
I was young. I was in college. I can't now in my 50s. I couldn't do that. In my 50s, I'm the one when, as you saw, oh, there's people jumping the turnstile, and here's the retired cop moving to throw them out. So yeah, what I did when I was younger, what I would do now.
I understand. Oh yes, and yes, folks, I have a cold.
Yeah.
So
all right, Glenn.
Sir,
I think we will close this out. I think we
ought to. Hey.
I appreciate everybody that came in, spent their afternoon, their lunch break with us. We really do appreciate it.
No problem.
Next live stream is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And then there's another live stream at 8 p.m. on Thursday. Glenn and I come back 8 p.m. on Friday, 8 p.m. on Saturday. Rach and I for Gamers Health.
Eastern time.
Yeah, Eastern time. The only time zone that exists. Eastern time.
Do the math.
I can't do the math, man. I can't.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Yeah, okay.
All right, folks. Thank you very much.